Hey guys, welcome to a very exciting game from the round 6 of the FIDE Grand Chess Tournament. This game is played between Fabiano Caruana, who has the white pieces, and Vladimir Fedoseev, who has the black pieces. So let's just get into a game. We have e4 on the board from Fabi and c5, the Sicilian defense. We get knight to f3 and knight to c6. Bishop to b5, trying to pin the knight once the pawn moves, and g6. Fianchettoing this bishop on a wonderful diagonal that black is going to control. We have castles by Fabi and bishop to g7. The idea is fianchettoing the bishop, and that's what he does. c3 is played, trying to put some pressure with this d4 move, and e5, trying to stop this d4, but Fabi plays d4 nonetheless. He says, if you take, that's fine, I'm just going to recapture, and once you recapture, your pawn will be weak here. That's exactly what happens. C takes d4, C takes d4, and now E takes d4. Finally, this pawn is pretty weak, even though currently you have two attacking pieces or defensive pieces, and white has two attacking pieces. White can easily capture this knight. Once you recapture, you can immediately capture this pawn, and if you try to recapture, simply queen takes d4 will suffice. So this pawn is eventually going to fall, and Fabi knows this. So he plays bishop to f4. Now developing move. There is nothing black can do to defend this pawn, and he has a lot of time. Knight g to e7. Now Vladimir is not even trying to defend, because he also knows, since he's a grandmaster, he has studied this line. He just wants to develop pieces, castle, and then start attacking either on the queen side or the king side. We get bishop to d6. Pinning this knight once the castle, once black castles, and we have castles by black. We get knight b to d2, now developing the second knight, and a6, asking, what do you want to do with this bishop? Do you want to go back? Then you can even play b5, or you could just capture here. It depends on whatever you want to do. There is one move that I did not tell you, and that's exactly what Fabi played. He played queen to a4. Now, if you capture this hanging bishop, it's not really hanging, because your rook behind it is going to be attacked and it's going to be captured. So that would not be a good idea. But Fabi, even though he had a lot of advantage in the opening stages, even after being a pawn down, after this queen to a4 move, he equalized everything, and there was a better move. The better move was bishop to d3, just coming back with the bishop. Then you can even play b6, a4, stopping any further pawn pushing, and bishop to b7, all developing moves. You can have a nice game. White still has an advantage, even though this pawn is weak here, and white doesn't have a pawn to support. So we have none of this. Queen to a4 was played, and now rook to a7. Vladimir decides he just wants to safeguard his rook, so he plays rook to a7. Bishop to d3, and now we have b5. See, that's what I mean. If you wanted to bring your bishop back to d3, nonetheless, why allow black to push this pawn and come with an attack on the queen? So it's basically a free pawn move. But maybe that was the idea of Fabi, because he is absolutely a world champion, currently number 2 in the world, so he definitely knows better than I do. We have queen to c2, returning with the queen, and bishop to b7, developing move. a4, now b takes a4 and rook takes a4. Now a5. Closing down this position, we get h4. Now that looks like the queen side is locked, so Fabi wants to push on the king side, try to create some weaknesses here. At least since he has a light square bishop, he wants to create some weaknesses on the light squares. After h4 we have bishop to a6. Now attacking this bishop, asking, do you want to capture or do you want to put your knight here? Or what do you want to do? And Fabi says, I'm going to capture, so bishop takes a6. We have rook takes a6 and b4. Now immediately attacking this pawn, but you cannot really capture it with black, because then your rook is hanging. So it's a wonderful move. And now knight to a7. Also this pawn, if you push it even further, it's going to fork this rook and knight here, so proactively moving the knight away. We get queen to c5, getting deeper into the position, and now you have double attack on this knight by this bishop and by this queen. We get knight a to c8, now simply defending and also attacking this bishop. We get bishop to c7, now attacking the queen, attacking this pawn here, and there is no other move than queen to e8. We get b5, pushing the pawn even further, and now d6, attacking the queen. Queen to c4, retreating with the queen, and even d5, pushing it even further, but now queen to c5. So Fabi achieved what he wanted to do. He has nice control over this file, and also he is constantly attacking this nice pawn here, so he doesn't really have to worry. D takes e4, now attacking the knight, and simply knight takes e4. Why to just have two connected pawns on the fourth rank when all your pieces are trying to attack? There is no point, so you just capture. And now d3, pushing this pawn even further. It's just two squares to queening, so let's see what happens. Pretty exciting. Rook to a3, now attacking this lone pawn here. And now rook to e6, attacking the knight. A lot of attacking moves and a lot of hanging pieces as well. So pretty amazing position. And I have to tell you guys that both of these guys were spending a lot of time calculating all these variations. Even though I'm just showing you the moves that were played, these guys have to calculate everything precisely and then try to play the best or the second best move. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of toll on these grandmasters. So after rook to e6, we have knight f to g5, and now knight to f5. The plan simply is to give up this rook to activate the queen, because the queen was kind of stuck, and because the queen was stuck, the rook was stuck, and this piece cannot move anywhere, the knight. So for now he wants to activate at least the queen, then he's going to bring the rook into the game. Not via that d8 square because it's currently covered, but at least with e8 square. And so Fabi says, fine, that's okay with me, and knight takes e6. We get queen takes e6, and now rook to a4. Simply defending the knight. We have rook to e8, double attacking the knight, but you're not going to capture it with the queen, so it's completely fine as of now. And now b6, pushing the pawn even further. Now it's just two pawns to queening, and it's pretty exciting. Also the queening square is covered by this bishop, this wonderful bishop here on c7. So queen to d7 first. And now queen takes a5, eliminating this lone pawn. Now we get knight takes b6. You have to give up the knight. You don't really have an option. And once you give up the knight, you get bishop takes b6 and queen to c6. Wonderful, wonderful position, because once the pawn is pushed, of course, you first defend it, push the pawn, and then put your queen here on c1 and ask the rook to capture, and then you could capture here with bringing another queen into the game. A lot of calculations, wonderful moves. We get f3 after this. Just nicely defending, because there was a double attack on this knight, who was also controlling this d2 square, by the way. and d2 nonetheless. So I'm going to show you what happens if knight captures. It would be a blunder because once you capture with the knight, you get bishop to c3, and now you are attacking the queen and you're attacking this this knight. Also your bishop is defended by the queen, so now the queen has to move. There are no checks possible to the king, so the queen has to move, and then you're simply going to capture the knight. Even though white is still better in this position, but why do you want to simply give up your knight for just a pawn? So that was not played, and these are the calculations that grandmasters have to do. After d2, we have bishop to f2. And now, of course, you cannot just promote because you get rook captures on d1. So first you have to play bishop to h6. Now guarding this pawn because there is always a threat of knight captures here on d2. And now rook to a3. Again, this is a completely winning position for white, but there are slight maneuvers that white still has to do, and there is a little bit of poison to this position. But after queen to c2, there is nothing black can do because this is a completely losing position. So if you guys want to find the perfect combination, if you guys have some time, pause the video and try to find the best move for white, which actually Fabi did not play. So I'm going to show you the variation which he did not play, and then I'm going to show you the variation which he actually played. So first, knight to f6 with check. Simply you are forking this rook and you're giving a check to the king. King to h8, and this variation that I'm showing you was not played in the game, by the way. We get knight takes e8, d1 with bringing the queen into the game. We have rook takes d1, queen takes d1, and now king to f2. Bishop to f4 with check, and you have to block with g3, if not you are in big trouble. So g3 has to be played. Now queen to e2, and you bring your king back, king to g1 to simply defend this bishop. Queen to e8 check, not check, just queen to e8. Queen captures e8, and now we get g captures f4. King to g7, and now if you count the material, it's a queen against a queen, a knight against a bishop, but white has an extra rook. So this is completely winning for white. This is what he should have found. But because of time pressure, he was not able to find, but he still played the second best move suggested by the engine, which was queen to d5. So after queen to c2, he played queen to d5, and now queen to c1. Asking him to capture this queen, and then he's going to bring another queen into the game. Rook to a7, not allowing that to happen, and immediately threatening a checkmate. Once you capture here on f7, you're going to give a check. Once the king moves, then you're going to capture the rook. You're going to block with the bishop, but then you capture the bishop, and it's a checkmate. So you have to defend against this threat, and rook to f8 has to be played. Now, rook to a1, saying, okay, if you want to capture, I'm just going to capture it with my other rook and defend the first rank. We get knight to e3. Now also attacking this rook and keeping an eye on this queening square, also attacking your queen. So you have to capture this knight. Bishop takes e3, bishop takes e3 with check, and now king to h1. Queen to c7, and queen to d3. We get bishop to h6, pretty nice maneuvers, and finally black has decided to give up trying to push this pawn because he doesn't have enough pieces to support pushing off the pawn. So it's a lost cause here. Queen to d4, and of course white knows that, so he's not in a hurry to capture it. There is no way black can attack this d1 queening square, and all white has to do is keep defending it, and eventually you're going to capture this pawn. We get rook to d8 and knight to f6 check first. we get king to h8, knight to f5 check, king to g8, and now rook to a8. This was the final position on the board as Vladimir Fedoseev resigned the game. He resigned mainly because his rook is attacked, his queen is attacked, his pawn is attacked, and there is another rook that's coming into the game. There is nothing he can do to defend from all the threats. So he decided to resign, and Fabi won another game. He is now, along with Wang Ho, leading this tournament after 6 rounds. But before I show you the standings, I'm going to show you why he resigned and what would have followed. What would have followed is rook takes a8, and now just simply knight takes c7. You have to give up something just to prolong the mating idea, and now rook to b8. Knight to d5, bishop to g7, trying to attack this queen. Simply knight to e7 check, king to h8, and now queen to d2. Queen takes d2, eliminating this final pawn. Now this rook is ready to come into the action, getting in on a c file or whatever open file is available on the board. There is nothing much black can do. We get h5 if you just want to keep continuing pushing the pawns. Queen to f4, rook to f8, rook to e1, f5, and knight takes g6 with check, king to h7, knight takes f8 with check, bishop takes f8, queen to c7 check, king to g8, and rook to e8, finally attacking this bishop, and eventually you're going to be checkmated pretty quickly. f4, that's the best defense, and now you simply get queen to e7. The next move is going to be rook captures, and it's going to be checkmate no matter what you play. So king to e8, and now rook takes f8. This is checkmate. So Vladimir saw all of this, and he believed that there was no point in continuing against the world number 2 player. So he resigned the game. I hope you enjoyed the game, and I have I've prepared the standings for you guys, and it's Wang Ho and Fabiano Caruana who are leading with 5 points each. So they have won 5 games, and they have won 4 games and drawn 2 of the games. And then you can see Maksulu Parham, who is number 3. We have Carlson on number 4, Alexander Grishuk on number 6, Nikita Vitugov on number 7. We have Aronian Levon on number 9. Adiban Bhaskaran, an amazing player from India who has seen a lot of interesting games. He is on number 10, and my favorite player from India, Vishy Anand, he is on 22. Even if this shows 22, he is on 4 points, just 1 point behind the leading player. But that's how chess is. I mean, you lose a game which Anand lost in the very first round, and that's costing him dearly now. So I hope you enjoyed this game and the standings. That's it from round 6. We have a rest day today, so there is no games to be played between today and tomorrow. Tomorrow night again they will start round 7, and I hope to see you then. To all my subscribers, thank you very much for supporting my channel. Greatly appreciated. That's all from me. Namaste. See you next time.